There was a recent article in the Los Angeles Times reporting that the sugar industry is suing the corn industry over high fructose corn syrup. The sugar industry is suing because of what they call false advertising claims that high fructose corn syrup is healthier than table sugar. They claim that high fructose corn syrup is far less healthy than table sugar. So what's the truth? The corn industry claims that high fructose corn syrup is nutritionally equivalent to table sugar and that your body can't tell the difference. But is that true? The corn industry also claims that high fructose corn syrup is a natural product. But is that true, or are we all being lied to? In court papers, the sugar industry has claimed that obesity and diabetes have dovetailed with the penetration of this synthetic corn sweetener in soft drinks and other products. But has high fructose corn syrup really caused the obesity epidemic? In this video, I'm going to discuss these questions, and the answers may just surprise you. It's now estimated that high fructose corn syrup accounts for 1/10 of the average American's caloric intake. And high fructose corn syrup is best known as the sweetener used in soda pop, but it can also be found in a myriad of other foods, even foods that you don't really consider to be sweet, like bread or beef jerky. And of course, it's used in all of these sweet foods that we do consider to be sweet, like candy, ice cream, cookies, and other delicious treats. No matter how you look at it, Americans are consuming a crap ton of refined sugar and high fructose corn syrup. The U.S. Department of Agriculture estimates that the average American eats about 47 pounds of refined sugar and an additional 35 pounds of high fructose corn syrup every single year. Per capita, Americans are consuming 3 times more sugar than anyone else in the entire world. That comes out to about 888 calories of sweeteners per day. So what exactly is high fructose corn syrup, and how is it different than fruit or refined table sugar? We discussed this topic more in depth in the video, The Truth About Carbohydrates. But to sum that up or recap, we've basically got 3 main types of sugar. Glucose, which is the primary form of energy that our cells actually use. Fructose, which is sugar that comes from fruit. And sucrose, which is actually a double molecule containing 1 molecule of glucose and 1 molecule of fructose. So table sugar is just refined sucrose, which has been extracted from sugar cane or sugar beets. And when you consume it, in the case of table sugar, those molecules are still bound together. So your fructose and glucose are still bound in 1 molecule. But when that sucrose hits your small intestine, enzymes move in, break that fructose and glucose molecules apart, and both are absorbed into your bloodstream. In most fruits and in high fructose corn syrup, the fructose and glucose molecule aren't bound together. They actually exist as separate molecules. Now, these different types of sugars, the glucose, sucrose, fructose, and starch, all exist naturally in many foods. And all of the table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and fruits and vegetables all contain glucose and fructose. The only difference is the ratio of glucose to fructose, and the fact that for fruits and high fructose corn syrup, those glucose and fructose molecules are not bound together. So it's the ratio of how much fructose to glucose that varies from food to food. In the case of an apple, a banana, or a grape, the ratio is about 1:1. And the ratio rarely exceeds a 2:1 ratio. So a pear has about twice as much fructose as glucose, but sweet corn has about twice as much glucose to fructose. Likewise, the fructose to glucose ratio in high fructose corn syrup also varies based on how it's manufactured. So in HFCS 42, you've got 42% fructose to 58% glucose. In HFCS 55, you've got 55% to 45%. And in HFCS 90, you've got 90% fructose to 10% glucose. And as a side note, there is not a plant that exists with a fructose to glucose ratio 9:1. So how is high fructose corn syrup made? Well, you take a kernel of corn and then you refine it down to just the cornstarch. So that means you strip away all the fiber, fat, protein, minerals, enzymes, and most of the other nutrients that that corn ordinarily contained. And now you've got just the cornstarch, which is just a chain of glucose molecules, no fructose, no nothing else. And then you add an enzyme that actually will break down those glucose chains. And then you add another enzyme that actually changes some of those glucose molecules into fructose. Now, in this lawsuit, the sugar industry is claiming that the corn industry has made false claims that high fructose corn syrup is a natural product. But is high fructose corn syrup natural? Absolutely not. But refined table sugar isn't natural either. Now, refined table sugar is refined sucrose, and sucrose does occur naturally in some fruits and vegetables, but it does not occur naturally in a refined state. And the same thing could be said about high fructose corn syrup. It's composed of glucose and fructose, which both occur naturally, but neither of them occur naturally in a refined state. High fructose corn syrup is doubly unnatural because it's made from genetically modified corn. But unless you're buying sugar that says 100% cane sugar, then the sugar that you're getting is made partially from sugar cane and partially from sugar beets. And guess what? The sugar beets are genetically modified too. So chemically speaking, high fructose corn syrup and table sugar are really just molecules of fructose and glucose. And while fructose and glucose are naturally occurring, high fructose corn syrup and table sugar are not. I really want to emphasize that these are refined foods, and it's that process of refining that strips away all the nutrients, strips away all the fiber, strips away any healthful component that food might have had, and neither of these foods are natural foods. So this is what the refining process does. In 100 grams of natural corn, you've got 64 calories, 14 grams of glucose in the form of starch, 1 gram of fiber, and 2 grams of protein. In 100 grams of high fructose corn syrup, you've got 281 calories, 74 grams of sugar, the combination of glucose and fructose, no fiber, and no protein. On my left is the list of vitamins and minerals in whole corn, and on my right is the list of vitamins and minerals in high fructose corn syrup. Notice that virtually all of the vitamins and minerals have been completely removed from the high fructose corn syrup. Likewise, table sugar is also basically void of vitamins and minerals. So, which is worse, high fructose corn syrup or sugar? The truth is, they both suck. These are both really, really unhealthy things to be putting into your body. And it's primarily because these are processed, refined foods that have been stripped of all of the nutritional components and fiber that they may have once had. Pure refined sugar also does not exist in nature. Both of these foods are processed and refined and have all of the nutritional components stripped out of them until they are just pure sugar. And unless you are buying the 100% cane sugar, then both your high fructose corn syrup and your table sugar are also made from genetically modified crops. The reason that fruits and vegetables are oh so good for you is that they provide an entire nutritional package. In addition to the sugar that they might contain, they also contain fiber, minerals, vitamins, enzymes, and even phytochemicals and other nutrients that are absolutely vital to our body's natural, normal functioning. It's the processing and refining of any natural food that really makes it unhealthy, that strips away all the things your body needs and leaves you with something that is very unhealthful for you. So for goodness sakes, and for your own sakes, Don't be one of those Americans who's consuming 900 calories of sugar every single day. No wonder the obesity and diabetes rates are just continuing to climb. If you go ahead and eat your natural fruits and eat your natural vegetables, not only will you lose weight, you're going to have more energy and you're going to feel better too. If you learned anything in this video, I hope you'll share it with your friends because they're probably dying to know this information as well. And if you haven't done so already, I hope that you'll give me a thumbs up or maybe even two. To understand more about sugars and how they affect the body and weight gain, see my video, The Truth About Carbohydrates. To understand more about the refining process and the effect it has on your health, hunger, and foods, see my video on how fast foods are designed to be addictive. To understand the difference between a healthy food and an unhealthy food, see my video, Junk Food versus Superfoods. And to understand how you could eat twice as much food as you are eating now and still lose weight, check out my video on calorie density.